Alright. Should be recording, and hopefully everything will work well. Because I'm doing things a little differently here, and some of you may also be wondering, why am I back in Metro Exodus? What more do I have to do? Well, I'll show you. And this will also explain why things are a little different. Why some things may be. So as you can see, I've got quality up to extreme. DirectX 12 is enabled. NVIDIA RTX is enabled. I'm not on my desktop. I'm on the test system with the RTX 2080 that NVIDIA provided. And that reminds me, Metro Exodus was also provided. Remember, that's how I reviewed it. And I already did a graphics quality analysis video on the desktop, so that I was looking at everything else. Basically, everything that isn't under the NVIDIA RTX, which is the ray tracing and DLSS. I will also talk about DLSS, but right now I'm going to focus on the ray tracing. And I just yesterday finished going through and collecting a lot of data in this game and in other games across the different graphics cards. And while I could understand backing off a little bit, you may be happy to know I was actually kind of surprised, and I'm definitely happy to see this, that the RTX 2080, for the two places I can test in, I'll also explain why that's the case, but for the two places I could test in, it was able to get a 60 frames per second average. So in the neighborhood, I need to look at a little more data to know if I can truly say it, but at Ray Tracing Ultra, and there's also high and then there's off, and the quality at extreme, at 1920 by 1080, it's actually capable of that. It is a very powerful card for this game. So, like, you can max things out at 1080. Going up to something like 1440, you probably want to turn one or the other down. I think, from what I remember from that other video I did, I haven't looked through all my notes on that, but some of the notes that I have on it, that I would turn, I would definitely be comfortable running this at Ultra instead of Extreme, especially for 1080. I don't think it's really all that necessary to be at Extreme. Is the difference there? Yeah. Is it necessary? Probably not. Ray Tracing High and Ultra, I don't know what the difference is visually for me. I think I saw somewhere, was it Digital Foundry video? I don't remember. Where it was said that High uses a half ray per pixel and Ultra uses 1 ray per pixel, so it is definitely a lot more work. But 1920 by 1080, it was actually still able to handle. In fact, it's not going to show me the values, but... Oh wait, and that... I'm just going to see about pulling up the actual result there. Why don't we have 2? Okay. Oh, that's why. So the Extreme and Ultra in the two places, this is one of them. I'll go to the other later. I have spotted some issues that are either actual issues or just issues I have with the game, but with RTX. In both places, this is in the Caspian, which is the second open world spot that you get to. The first is Volga, and that's the other place. I'll go there. Go there a little later. An average of FPS, and what I do is for 5 minutes. No, I didn't actually make it. No. Are you serious? I didn't make any changes. Fine. Is it gonna do the whole reload thing? I didn't make any changes. It shouldn't be... Okay, good. Funny thing. So, this setting, the quality setting, whenever you change it, it wants to reload things. RTX is actually... It hangs for a little bit, but it does change actually much quicker. But the test I would do is... I basically just continue in this direction, and you see the white line along the bottom. The black lines are the train tracks, so the white line that's parallel to it, I just go along that. There's a couple, I think that they're watchmen, the little rat annoying things. I engage both of them, and there's also a demon in the area that sometimes I would in fact try to get it to come at me, because just for some consistency. But that's the path I would take for about 5 minutes. Well, no, for exactly 5 minutes. But with that, when I did it at Extreme and Ultra, which is current settings, I had an average of 63 FPS, and only 29% of the time was at below 60 FPS. So it actually really did perform pretty well. I would be happy at that. And the Caspian area is, of the two, the worst performer. So that is actually pretty good, but I only have the two areas, and they're both outside like this there. But anyway, you know what, here, I'll quickly show one thing, because it should happen right here. Turn that off. It's not quite so evident, but the ground changes color. I've noticed. Right here. Like here it's kind of brownish. I do not want DLSS. Ultra, it doesn't really matter. I don't know if I'll do it here. I turned on DLSS when I was testing with the RTX 2060, saw something in Volga in the other place, and I was like, nope, I am not touching this. Did it improve performance? Yes, it did. It went from in the 70s up to the 80s. So yeah, to me, with the RTX on, the ground here, which I expect is supposed to be like sand, goes from more of a yellow and brown to a white. It like when I first enabled it here, it was suddenly snow, and that does kind of bother me, because I wouldn't think that there would be such a difference. But it's, you know, if you don't mind, if you don't notice, I don't think it's really a problem. This actually, yeah, right here. If you look, that is clearly a brown and yellow to it. And then turn it back on. DLSS. And something I saw, I haven't confirmed it myself, but I don't see reason to doubt it. Yeah, now it's like white. Say, this does bother me. And I would say though that if you have an RTX 2080 or even an RTX 2060, it is actually, I think. Hey, let me check the table I have. Scroll down. I have the 60 FPS targets for my Vega 64, the RX 580, a GTX 770, 980, 1070, 1080, this 2080, and also the 2060. And the 2060, yeah, is actually capable for the two areas of the ultra quality settings with the high ray tracing, with the high RTX. So, I mean, it is actually also performing quite nicely. I lost my train of thought here. Oh yeah, that's right. If you were to have those either of these cards, and I presume also the 2070 and definitely the 2080 Ti, and if you're still playing 1920 by 1080 at 60 frames per second, or if you have a adaptive syncing monitor, whether that be FreeSync or G-Sync, have the ray tracing enabled. It looks like you will be able to get you should be able to get a good experience. It is a first-person shooter, so you'll want to try to have that 60 or better. But honestly, there are times that this going below 60, this game below 60, isn't bad. It isn't like, it isn't a Twitch shooter. It is my point there, so you can get away without that. But it's still, you can get 60 with the ray tracing on in both these games, and without DLSS. But yeah, so the fact that it changes to white, that does bother me, but it does work. So, I don't actually feel like going this path. I mean, well, here, I can show you, sort of. I'll just run. So coming up here on the right and also a little bit on the left are the Watchmen, and I think I can just sneak by them. There's a demon, I think. Oh, maybe that's something else just hanging there. I hate the snakes. They're so... They don't kill you? Okay, so there's a Watchman there. There's another one over there. Over there. I would engage and fight them. Sounds like they know I'm here. Something knows I'm here. I'm trying to avoid them, but I would kill all of them. Continue up this way. One of them might have. This'll one hit. At least I didn't encounter there's the demon. I'm on the reader difficulty, by the way, because it's not about the difficulty, it's about just playing. Oh, and I forgot to mention, because I had some issues initially when I was reviewing with capturing properly, and this is in the test system, I'm not recording on the test system. I got a capture card a while ago, so I'm running from the test system into the capture card, which has a pass-through, which then goes to the television that the test system is normally hooked up to. But yeah, so normally when doing these tests, I would kill all the watchmen here, at some point engage and kill that, then continue this way, where there's still some more. Stop it. Those guys are so annoying. And also there's a weapon over there, you can get some stuff off of, and one up here. So just, I'm not doing it now, but so you know what it is. But yeah, so the capture card, by the way, for anyone wondering, don't remember the full thing. It's an AVerMedia 1080 PCIe card. So, and it works perfectly with OBS. I've never really messed with it that much until now. You know, let me go back. I'm just reloading from the quick save, which this is one thing that's a little annoying. In order to go to different save points, I have to manually change the save file. It's like, seriously, 4A games, you really could have made this easier for people like me that are doing this silly stuff. You know, that like, are we even a 0.1% number of people that would be doing? Let me see. Yeah, there's one thing that I've noticed. If you look, okay, you see where his compass is? It's hard to sometimes see. But I've noticed that there'll be like a red light on the... There. It's in front now. It's almost as though there's a reflection of my hand going forward. And yeah. Oh, right there. You can see that. I don't know what that is. Is that just a lens flare? That might be a lens flare. Even though he doesn't wear glasses. Artyom doesn't wear glasses. Let me... I was only ever noticing it with the ray tracing. So... Oh, I accidentally hit escape instead of enter. So this is just me testing to see if that is... No, that is in fact... Okay. Yeah, it is still there. That would also explain why I don't always see it everywhere, because it's got to do with your alignment with the sun. So, okay, that is not a bug then. That's just weird, though, because I don't have the gas mask on. Artyom doesn't wear glasses. What is this reflection from? It's like, this doesn't... Is he wearing goggles? I mean, say I have the night vision goggles, but it's not on. Let's go inside here for a little bit, so we also have some interior views with the RTX, which, I mean, I'll be honest, to me, the feeling with the ray tracing, I don't actually want to hear you talking. No offense, but I'm focused on something else right now. It feels to me like a thing to have turned on if you can have it turned on. And like I was saying, the 2060 is able to do it. Go ahead and play that way. I mean, yes, there are some issues to it, but depending, you may be willing to suffer those issues. And I mean, the color changing here is one. Yeah, I'm gonna go over to the other place, because I need to actually quit out of the game. There. Oh, let me... Oh, okay. That also killed the audio. I think the other location is going to be better for checking some things anyway. Launching it up again. Basically, if you can forgive some of the issues, I don't see a reason not to, aside from the performance, but I don't think the performance is strictly necessary, like it is in some other first-person shooters. Oh, and also, did I say I don't know? I can't. Yeah, I already said I don't know what the visual difference is between high and ultra. maybe at a higher resolution it would come out. I don't know.
The locals
Actually,
are
hang on.
none too happy to see us here.
We don't. I've been hearing this enough this past week. I don't need to hear it more. And actually, we may catch. There is a weird issue right at the begin that I can spot right at the beginning here. Hopefully, it is there. Hopefully, it is there, because I do not know why it's. Okay, you see up here, right where I'm looking. Yeah, I can unmute. There, where it's okay, and just faded away. The yellow that was there. There's also a little bit still over here. I don't know what that is, but it's not actually there. And see, now it's faded away, but if I back up, it doesn't come back. And also, if I go to the rasterization and then back, it takes a little bit to make it switch. Like I said. I think I actually do need to have it reload. It won't be there, but it's. What would I want to say? That does fail a test to me. Oh, and the path I would take here is I follow these train tracks over, and then do you see how up ahead, this path that I'm on, it turns north, and there's another path that turns south, and they cross. This one bridges over. Around there is where I turn down and engage some enemy. And this I actually will do, because it does take me somewhere I want to be. But yeah, I don't know what that is exactly that is happening there, but to me, that fails a test, because it's like, you shouldn't have the case where the graphics change just by moving forward and then moving back to where you were. That, I don't know what I'd want to call that, like a translation test, where it's like you shouldn't be able to translate forward and then back, move forward and back, and then have the graphics change when there's been no contextual reason for the change. So, sort of a graphics aren't perfect yet. The ray tracing isn't perfect yet, which should surprise no one. And also something else, yeah, if you look over, keep your eye over here. It's going to be on the left side of the screen. This is something that some may notice and may want to make more out of than should be. See how the reflections disappear? The ray tracing is only used for global illumination in Metro Exodus, it appears. Battlefield 5 uses the ray tracing there for reflection. Here, though, it's still screen space reflection. So, when that stuff exits the screen space, so do the reflection. Why did I take that off? It's actually funny. What? There's something where it actually gets occluded, where it's like it is occluded, but the reflection is still clear. Like where it was should still be there. I don't remember what it is. I think it was like that pole up there, and it's really funny. I could show you the issue with the DLSS, because I spotted it on these trees, and it was too much fun. There. Doesn't look quite so. You know what? I wonder. There's something else but here, let me try this. Huh. Maybe I'm just too close to it right now, but what I had noticed with the DLSS, oh, it is still kind of, is polygon popping on these things. I'm gonna turn back off for a moment. It is off. I thought I turned it on. Okay, that is very weird. It just refuses to turn on. Huh. Well. Oh, no. That makes sense. Yep. That option shouldn't be available. That's right. I forgot. NVIDIA put out two things, not... Well, true, I don't know when this is coming out. Towards the end of February, it was right around the release of Metro Exodus, both talking about the ray tracing implementation. One was a blog post that was more, like just PR kind of talking it up, describing how with the ray tracing you have things spookier. Now, true, their references when the taiga biome, the taiga level, which I haven't gone to because that one is a lot harder to do this stuff in. It's, to me, that level felt less open world. This is open world and felt much more linear in an open environment. So yeah, it's like I didn't want to do testing there because I knew I'd be constantly having to fight things. Here, it's like I have more control. I feel more comfortable and have time to just go around. But there was that one. The other one, though, was more of an actual like FAQ. And one thing to talk about was that DLSS is not enabled at certain resolutions on certain cards because it puts... The DLSS work will always apply a certain amount of work that needs to be done. That'll take a certain amount of time. And the RTX 2080 is powerful enough that at 1920 by 1080, it will render that image so quickly that the DLSS will not help. It'll actually increase the amount of time it takes to render the frame. Whereas the 2060, because DLSS renders at lower native resolution, the gain in performance by rendering at the lower resolution combined with DLSS is still less than if DLSS were not enabled at all and you were running at the native resolution. So it's available on the 2060. I forgot that. That's on me. That's why I can't enable it here. But what was happening, and that also explains why I couldn't see here. So these trees, and you know what will hopefully be out by now is my article on anti-aliasing. I talk about polygon popping, but these things, the branches, they get small enough that as you move around, they will have to shift from one pixel to another, but some of those details are small enough to fit in between the distance between the center of one pixel and another, so where the sample positions are. Polygon popping is when you have something that fits between, so it is no longer visible, and then it crosses over a sample point, so now it appears. So it pops in and out, okay? With DLSS, so you're running at lower native resolution, well, lower internal resolution, which means that distance between sample positions increases. And you know something that I can actually, if it will let me. I think this would be about right. Okay, so it's not standing out quite as much, but then DLSS is also doing some other image enhancement stuff to it. Try to upscale. Try. It's not quite working. In theory, it could have worked, but I really shouldn't be doing my experimentation in these videos, should I? Anyway, don't expect. But what I was noticing was polygon popping, and it is possible though that the DLSS upscaling was making it worse because it was trying to put the information back, and it was just making bad guesses. Which in theory it can get better over time, but it's also my experience has already been set. My first experience has already been set that it wasn't that great. And the performance gain, it's like, yeah, it was great. 10 frames per second more. That's great. That's very impressive. One problem, though, is that it was already running at 70. I don't... It's not like I really needed... By the way, it is not comfortable to play a game on the test system, in case you were ever wondering. Because I have the keyboard on my lap and my mouse. I have to move my desktop keyboard over on its keyboard tray so that I have room for the mouse. So my aim is not going to be as good as it normally is. Alright. Oh man, I did screw up something a little bit. One of the artifacts that I've noticed, in theory, it might be better with Ultra as opposed to High. I'm not sure. I really need to stop doing it. But they will have like it'll almost seem like a shadow, a shadow ghost. Come on, back. I want you to back away from me. I don't want to actually shoot. Come on. Yeah. These aren't watchmen. There's something different. That's a watchman. Yeah, let's see if it'll happen. Yes, there. As it was going up, hopefully you'll notice, and you may need to go back and look, but there was a trail of darkness behind them, a ghosting, a dark ghosting. That would be from the light, from the ray tracing, I'm pretty sure. Because it's the global illumination, so right now the sun is the only light source, so all the light is being ray traced for this global illumination effect of the sunlight. As the thing was moving, the Watchman was moving, what was happening was, there were areas that now need the light to be repopulated in there. Because they're using some temporal work so that they're not having to always have so many rays in there. Because you need, what did I say, one ray per pixel at Ultra? In order to get actual realistic lighting, you need hundreds. So there's no way you're achieving that today. This is another thing. I'm just gonna go. So what I'm pretty sure is happening is just because they are using unquestionably a temporal system, so it's taking the old information and just using that going forward to improve performance. And by the way, and like I said earlier, it is performing very well. So yeah, I still won't call this real-time ray tracing. I call it accelerated because this is hybrid ray tracing. We're not ray tracing the entire thing. That's a me thing. I have something else though that I can show you a little later. But because of the enemy moving, that meant that there were areas where you didn't have this temporal information to fill in. So it was dark because it didn't have the ray traced information to fill in yet. But then as it kept moving, more time passed, so it was able to fill in. That is an artifact that is only due to RTX currently. Yeah, so with RTX off, that wouldn't happen. But it's up to you how much that matters to you. I think a lot of people could probably get used to that, but... Sorry, I need a drink of water there. But, you know, that's up to you. I do think, though, that most people would be perfectly satisfied playing this game without the ray tracing. And it's also, like, I mean, does this place look nice? Yeah. Is this... Actually, I'm not sure how much of this would be the global illumination and not. How much of this is ray traced or not. But if we go back, turn that off. Does it look different to you? It's really not that. I don't need to worry about that, but I'll just hit it anyway. So yeah, it's... I'd need to play more probably to really find places where it matters. But now this thing though, I have no idea what's up with this. This is just it's some kind of artifact, and you know, I can prove it very easily. See, it's gone. I do not know what's causing it though. And I couldn't hazard a guess either. Well, actually no, I take that back. Maybe I can. It is so annoying that the audio cuts out there. One thing. It's like, yeah, we do have the muzzle flashes with illuminating things, so it would make sense then that... The heck? I don't know what... Is the demon coming? I don't know why the music suddenly got 10. Oh, there's somebody here. Here. So clearly the performance is still good enough that gameplay is comfortable. I am able to do it. This actually might be a good place to look well to see how the ray tracing impacts things. I just want to get around. Things to take. Yeah, that transition may look like it got brighter, but it's like I don't see any effects that are gone or significantly changed. Maybe it's a little bit darker on this side. It looked like it may have gotten brighter over here, but I am not thoroughly impressed by it. I'm not turned off, though, I guess is the way to put it. For RTX, so it's like, I mean, not like it's bad. I'm not gonna call it bad, but it's not impressing me currently. Sorry about that. But in a way, that's also a good thing, because you want it to be the case that people are not missing out by just not having the proper, by not having one of the RTX graphics cards you can get today. It's like, it is a good thing that the differences are not mind-blowing. But that's also for where I'm looking. And also, I'm only looking in the day. Fortunately, I'm going to know that there's a bed nearby so we can go to night. Which, this is actually something I never did when I was reviewing, because I never need. And it's also, it's like the bed is here. I don't know. I don't remember the bed. Oh, one other thing. I'll do it later. The view distance is different, and I don't know why. I did take screenshots of that, though. Fortunately, with the NVIDIA GPUs, you've got Ansel for taking pictures. I think I need to clean this. So I was able to get some screenshots. But yeah, it looked like stuff was... Sorry, I keep wanting to click there. It looked like things kept wanting to draw at a greater distance. And I don't know why. Let's just put them all. It sounds like I'm gonna actually do anything off this save anyway. Yeah, actually, what it is, thing that laser on this. All right, so let's go to night. There. So we can see how this looks. I keep doing things, so I'm losing my train of thought, unfortunately. That is annoying in my ear. I'm safe, so... Oh yeah, that's the draw. Let's... That doesn't look substantially different, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, realistically, ideally you would want the... Oh crap. These things are... It must be going underneath. But yeah, realistically you would want there to be minimal changes between them, because that means that you have the rasterization component counterparts to the ray tracing very accurate. That is very, and that's very desirable. But it also means, and I'm not sure how worth it is, but it's still new technology. Maybe it doesn't need to be worth it yet. You know, give it a year or two, then it may be a, yeah, now you really want the hardware that'll do the ray tracing, because it is substantially different, and the performance hit is even smaller. Can't exactly pull that information out of that. I have one of the set of graphs up that I made. Oh, I never ran these. This one. I'm just running the scripts so I can get stuff I'm looking for. Okay, so right now, the Extreme with RTX Ultra in this location, I had an average of 79.44 FPS, which, in case you don't remember, I record this performance data with OCAD, which uses percent mon, so I do use the frame time data, I just convert it into frames per second. 1.7% of the time was it below 60 FPS. Without the RTX, without the ray tracing, average of 94 FPS, so only 0.22% below 6% of the time below 60 FPS. 10 millisecond frame time. 10.6 versus 12.6 milliseconds with RTX. So that's only 2 milliseconds more time to do it on average in this location. I think that's acceptable for most people at 1080p. So yeah, go ahead and have it on. But you know, when you get that down to be like 1 millisecond or half a millisecond, then it's going to be more desirable to have it enabled. But right now, it is impressive, the achievement, on a technical level. I'm just not thoroughly convinced right now on it for the gameplay experience. But it's maybe the taiga biome is just that different enough. I'm trying to decide if there's anywhere worth running to. Oh yeah, I wanted to do that, but that I need to dig. So and hang on, let me also, because I can give you the Caspian data as well. So Caspian is where we were before. With RTX at Ultra, the frame time was 15.8 for on average, so an average of 63.1 frames per second. Without RTX, it was 13.68, so 13.7 and 73.1 FPS. So again, about 2 milliseconds. And realistically, that's actually pretty impressive. Because ray tracing has never been that fast a thing to do. So on that technical level, it is impressive. And see, there's that stuff back. And if we just watch, it fades away. That does bother me.
But so far we have only seen
In that it is an artifact, it shouldn't be like that. But is that a huge issue? No. It's not going to disrupt your gameplay, so I'm not. I would mention that, I will note that, but I'm not going to complain about it. But it does make me still feel like this isn't perfect yet, but it still is. Kind of neat what it's done. Oh, that's right. Why I actually reloaded. All right. I think that. Do it. It's hard to tell. Yeah. Right when that window disappeared for me to accept, you saw some things pop in that weren't there right now, and they're not there anymore. Like on the bridge. Anywhere else that does this more obvious? I mean, I really do not know why the draw distance would be any different. I wouldn't think it would be. And not nosing it here. Okay, let me... But, you know, right now you can see it looks like there's a fair amount of stuff on the bridge. Some more just popped in, actually. Oh, it's... Yeah, like, right there, some is changing. And you can also see how some things disappear as I'm moving. That's what happens when you have the low number of rays per pixel. That's how that goes. I mean, it still is doing a neat job of correcting for it, but... And it's also, like even now, I think that might be a little bit more stable, but it still is doing because of how far away it is, but there is stuff missing. I don't know why RTX is increasing the draw distance. Alright, is there anywhere else that sort of there is? And let me do that. I don't want to go to the taiga biome. How do you pronounce it? Taiga? Don't fall in the water. So things. Where's a... Guess I do just... I know there's an underground section over there I want to try to get to. Because that may also do a better job with the global illumination stuff, the ray tracing stuff.
Are you going to the port?
But yeah, I'd mentioned earlier something else I can show you. I purchased a copy of Quake 2. I know there's a free demo, but I decided, you know what, no, I'll purchase it and put the Q2 VKPT on the system, so I can have the so it's Quake 2 but fully ray traced and path traced, except for the UI that's still traditional rasterization, which, yeah, I don't think rasterization will ever go away. There'll always be something that you'll be rasterizing. Plus, there's always going to be old game. My suspicion for the future is it will remain hybrid ray tracing, except for weird projects like Q2 VK, which is a mouth. Oh, hello. Evil bunker. If you played the game, you know why I said that. If you haven't played the game, that's why I'm not saying more. But it's not a good one. They're worst played. Oh, I think there's people I encounter? Fine. Die. I reloaded you, but what interrupted it? Yeah, the gun does jam. Wait, it's in here. Which I remember, this is actually one place that it crashed on. The humanimals. Dead. I am cute. Didn't really notice that lightened things up. There's more. Far more webs around. Yeah, interiors might also be a good place to see how RTX impact. Yep. Yeah, that didn't really seem to be lighting anything up. Why did I? Can I get up here? No. I can later. I don't remember. Yeah, he is talking.
Hey, find the way up to the building's roof! I'll lower the crane for you!
I don't remember if I've ever actually been here. I do intend to replay the game in case you ever wonder. There, let's see about upgrading this thing. Yeah, lose some stability, but that extra damage. Oh, it gets me. So I can get up there. I don't want to be up there. It's not what I'm trying to do. Here we go.
Hold on! I'll give you cover!
Thank you. Okay. So this is with RTX, and I see him there. I just want to make sure it's safe for me to do this. Right. So with RTX, off. Without. I doesn't seem to want so yeah, I mean, I don't know what I can really say. There. Yeah. Fun game, at least. But yeah, I think that if you don't have RTX, if you don't have an RTX graphics card, I don't think you're really missing out on a terrific amount. But it does have an impact. It does have an impact, so it's not like, you know, don't bother with it if you do have an RTX graphics card. I'm curious. Oh. For anyone wondering, none of the performance data that I collected, and I will state this in there, did I have Hairworks on. Yeah, it's doing that just like where now everything's is a lot whiter. I don't know what is up with that. That does bother me. Because that makes it seem like it's a different material I'm looking at, and that isn't appropriate. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to bother with turning off the thing. Ow. One. Load up the bench. Can I turn that off? Stream. I don't like motion blur, so that's why that's at low always. Hairworks off. Yeah, I didn't test with Hairworks on for two reasons. One is just the whole Hairworks is kind of known for crippling performance, and when I did try it, it did. On the Vega 64, it did at that time, though. I've since tried it again, and the performance hit wasn't that bad, though, so it has gotten better. Maybe to the point that you could just have it on, even if you don't have an NVIDIA GPU. But I don't think it's worth it. It's also very intermittent. Some monsters have it, not all, but I think that the impact that the presence there isn't enough on them to make it worth it. I don't think that adds enough to make it worth turning on. But you can turn it on. I'm not saying you can't. So the whole minimum maximum kind of thing, minimum is a definite off. You don't need this. I don't think it contributes enough to make it necessary. But maximum, yeah, you can have it on. It does contribute something. Advanced physics, I was testing with that always on because it worked fine on both systems, regardless of the GPU. Alright. So this is set in the taiga biome, so you can see that. And I think one spot in it is actually one of the things that is used for the comparison in that blog post I mentioned. Maybe, I think it is in this section. The taiga biome is where a lot of the media seem to be, though. For like pre-release media and such, it's where the benchmark is. It is in fact just a black. There we go. Is it taiga? Taiga? I don't know. I don't live in one, I think. Cleveland weather is very weird. Maybe I do live in this biome. Like half the week, the other half it could be desert or rainforest. I don't know. We have weird weather. No. It is also possible that Taiga also has better examples in it for RTX, but as I said, I don't feel comfortable. Yeah, this is actually one where if I can do it again without without RTX enabled. And it just, sorry, my mind is doing this thing where it wants to just switch off a little bit. Yeah, it's just, it felt more like it was a linear level. It just is in a semi-open environment. Something, I don't remember what context it was, mentioned Crysis, the design of Crysis, where it is sort of an open world, but it still is a linear game. The Taiga place is kind of like that in this. Where, yeah, you can explore around and find alternate paths and such, but a lot of it is also still kind of linear. That, I think, is a fair... that's fair to describe the Taiga, whereas both Volga and the Caspian are not. Those are much more open areas. You can freely go around and do things. So that's where I wanted to do the testing in, because I knew I could comfortably move around. Whereas with Taiga, I'd be worried that I'd be constantly coming in against enemies that would produce too much variability in the test. I mean, as it is, the enemies, their patterns actually are different between some of the tests. Sometimes the demon would come after me, sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it would be so far away I couldn't even shoot at it to get it to come over. Yeah, so it looks like at the settings I used of the extreme and ultra were more than it could take. Average of 49. Yeah, data I had didn't go that low. So yeah, my feeling, which I think I've stated a few times, but not necessarily all that well, because I can't, why not launch it up, is I don't think you're really missing out on too much if you don't have RTX, but I don't think that if you have RTX, that it isn't worth trying to turn it on and see if you're happy with the experience or not. It does have an impact. I don't know how much of it is necessarily always that good, like the changing colors there. but it didn't cripple performance enough to make me really worried. Now that benchmark showed it going down to 50, which Metro X's you can probably get away with, but I understand if you want solid 60. That's fine, good for you. Then don't run it at extreme. I would drop from extreme down to ultra, and then on the quality setting, then go dropping RTX from ultra to high. I would do it that way, because I really don't think that extreme offers more, or just drop them both down, go to ultra and high, because I don't know how much ultra RTX adds over high either. But you definitely give it a chance. If you can, I say give it a chance. Some of it does seem weird to me though. The changing colors, some of the artifacting. It's really only DLSS that is I don't want to touch this. Because that polygon popping, maybe you can stand it, that's fine. If you can stand it, go ahead and enable it, get that extra 10 FPS or more. Or less. How much the impact is, I don't know. It'll vary. And maybe you also need it for the gameplay experience you want at a higher resolution. Go ahead and do that if you want. Personally, I wouldn't. For my setup here, because even if it were just the RTX 2060, because that impact, that polygon popping, and the softening that also kind of accompanied it just, I wouldn't, no, I would not want that. If only we had the DLSS 2X, where it doesn't reduce the native resolution. Okay, you do that. Turn that down. Very loud. Okay, maybe not that. So, for those of you that do not know, it's still really loud. This is a version of Quake that is actually completely ray traced. Well, actually path traced. It's using ray tracing. And its performance is actually pretty good right now. This is something that the developer put in to prove a point of sorts. It's still, there's enough. That's that. Let's do that. No. Because what he found in his experimentation with it is that the shading, so the actual determining of these colors, is what really makes it's where the real performance hit is. So he included this mode where it's now basically everything is reflective. Because this is using 10 rays per pixel, I think it is. Whereas this is a total of 4, but it seems more like it's 2 plus 2, I think. Because there's like 2 for this, 2... Depending on the surface, like if it's transparent or something, that then it would be... then use another 2. I don't remember and don't know enough to really be able to say one way or the other, but... You have got... various effects here. Including, you can actually see... Or want to. But that is kind of neat, actually. But you can see how there's actually light emitted by the bullet and all that. There's also, let me think. If I just do that. Nope. No. What was it? Let me see if I can find it. Actually, it may be easier to do it this way. Q2VKT instruction CVAR. It's gonna tell me what I want to know. See, it was something like maybe. See, that was part of it. No idea. RT? No. See, unfortunately, I don't have any idea where I could find just a list of these things. There's a mode that you can enable. How does this have anything to do with what I'm searching for? I can find it. This is just talking about, I think, the thing, the Digital Foundry video. See, you want to do something neat, things don't want to work. And you also don't know enough of what you're doing. And I'd found it yesterday, but I don't think I have history. Oh, no, I do. Here we go. It was in here. There. Ah. Oh, no. Looking for a different command. Ignore that. In fact, there. Is it up here and I just overlooked it? I don't. It's not. That's something for showing form. Oh, here it is. That's what I was. So I was close. It was there. So does he explain it here? The actual filter input, then with it, the denoising applied. So basically, this is what the ray tracing is actually doing. Now, this is completely ray traced, which is not the case in Metro Exodus. That it's just the global illumination, but this is what the ray tracing actually looks like. The results, and you can see how noisy it is because this is at most 4 rays per pixel. With Metro, it'll be like a half ray per pixel or 1 ray per pixel, so it'd be even noisier. But if in this mode, though, it would actually be less. But if we go to this, is because they're using a temporal system to improve performance. So you're able to see the yellow is where it's recently disoccluded, so they need new temporal information. So right here, just along the edges, basically because that's where the aliasing would be. So you'd need to constantly update there, but the rest of it, no, that can be unchanged. And then this is the result that you get. And back to this. I know this really doesn't have anything to do with Metro Exodus, but there, so you can see what the performance is, and it's like 11 milliseconds. That's okay. Now it's up to 13, but it's still, it's better than the 16.7 milliseconds. This is at 1080, 1920 by 1080 with just the RTX 2080. I didn't try this with the other thing, the 2060 that I also was provided by NVIDIA. But yeah, I figured, since we was talking about the ray tracing stuff, why not launch that up as well? So, alright, how do I want to wrap this up? Did I ever put in the minimum maximum acceptable for The ray tracing, no idea. Well, I put in the minimum of off. Yeah, that should surprise no one. I'm gonna put in high for the maximum. And the reason I'm doing that is very simple. Because I don't know what the difference is between high and ultra. Which, that's how it is. That's how this table works. That's how the maximum acceptable works. If I can't tell you what the difference is, we're not using it. Yeah, so that's basically how that goes. The DLSS I already talked about, so that... I'm going to leave the maximum there blank. Because if... For my use case here, which is at 1920 by 1080 at 60 frames per second, and even with the RTX 2060, which, true, the 2080 doesn't enable it, but with the 2060, I felt it hurt the visuals more than I am willing to accept. But that, I will say, is your call. That is up to you. If you want to try enabling and see what happens, go right ahead. See what happens. If it's good for you, go for it. I'm not going to say no. That's why I'm going to leave the maximum blank. But it is up to you. It does hurt the visuals to me, and I'm not going to take that. Simple as that. All right. Don't want to do that. I was just thinking, do I want to try getting into the Tega? That's going to take too much time because you have to do the whole segment leading into it, and it is very story. There's a lot of story stuff that tells you there, and I don't want to expose that. Yeah, the game's already out, but I still want to avoid spoilers. But at least it looks like this has worked out pretty well. This using the capture card in this way. But yeah, it's just I am unconvinced right now by RTX, but I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel a negative towards it. There are some artifacts, but it's not that bad. Battlefield 5 I have no experience with, I want to say that, so if anyone wants to say, oh, but it's so horrible in Battlefield 5, I can't speak to that. I cannot speak to that, so I'm not going to. It's working fine for me and for what little I've tested in Metro Exodus. So it's I'm not amazed by it, I'm not wowed by it, but go ahead and try it. If you can, go ahead and try it. You may think it's great. I'm just not seeing it. That's my eyes and that's where I'm looking. So that's how that is. But still, thank you NVIDIA for sending me the card so I could do that. And it really is. Like the fact that the 2080, now true, what is the 2080? And is that a $700 or $800 card? I mean, that's not cheap, but it is still, letting you go to basically the maximum settings, Extreme and Ultra, and RTX Ultra at 1920 by 1080. That is impressive. For, we're still first gen of this accelerated ray tracing. That is still impressive that we already have a GPU capable of doing that. And that it's not the top end. It's not the 2080 Ti. And the RTX 2060, I don't remember what the MSRP is on that. It too is able to handle ultra quality with RTX at high. No DLSS. It's able to handle that. That is still impressive. On the technical front, I find this impressive. On the visual front, that's why I'm just not so convinced. But things will improve with time. As developers get better at working with it and finding new fun ways to do it. At the same time, though, we may see developers figuring out ways to get rasterization to better mimic it. It's an interesting time. And it's only going to get more interesting as AMD eventually gets their ray tracing platform developed and public. Intel may, since they want to get into gaming GPUs, maybe they'll bring in something new and further disrupt it. I mean, it'll be the next 1 to 2 years in graphics is going to be interesting. I think that's a good way to leave it right now. Once more, thank you NVIDIA, and also thank you to Tinsley PR, who handled the PR for Deep Silver and who provided the keys. I guess also thank you to Cooler Master for the keyboard and mouse I've been using for this, because that's what the test system has. And yeah, with that, I'm gonna go so I can do other stuff like process. Process the 192 megabytes of data from 65 CSVs. Yeah. You know what? Here. I can do this quick, I think. Yes. I need to rescale this. Here. Yeah. Okay. So this is one of the graphs I made. You know what, let me set some things down. I'll quickly try to run through this, and it isn't I'm not going to say it's a finished graph, but this is at just the high quality, everything I got. So you can see all the different GPUs. Please remember that the Vega64 is in the desktop, not in the test system, so it's paired with a 1950X instead of the 2700X. Arguably, though, the 2700X will be the better gaming GPU. But you can see how the averages were. The 770, no. Just don't try to play this game with a 770. It's doable, but I would not recommend it. Everything else, though, at the high preset, even the GTX 980, this next oldest card I have, for the Caspian, which is the harder level, is the harder area of the two to render that I did, even that is actually able to hit an average of above 60. This is frame time, so 16.67 milliseconds. So it's like you can do it with that. The 580 at high was definitely handling it. And by the way, the box plots here, the tails, the whiskers, sets the lines, those do go to 0.1%, yes, 0.1% and 99.9%. The boxes are the 1% and 99%, and then the line in the middle is still the median. Normally a box plot like that, it's the quartile, so 25%, 50% median, 75%. And then there'd be outliers, but those aren't there. Yeah, so this graph really does tell you a lot, and you do see performance improving as we do get to the newer ones, but it's like the 770, that's the only one that really, doesn't work too well here, but the rest are actually, you're pretty good with even a 980 for playing this game. You're pretty good. This is at the high quality. You can probably turn it down to medium and be happy. I think, what did I set for? No, even low I have is minimum acceptable. But medium is where you get the ambient occlusion it had appeared, and high is where you start getting the screen space reflections. So if you can give up screen space reflections, your performance for the 980 should be even better. But I think I still put down for the 980, high for its 60 FPS target. So, and I mean, if you look at that, it's doing pretty well. So you can see where the 2060 performed, even with RTX Ultra, it still had an average, and more than half the time it was better. It was below that 16.67 milliseconds line in the Caspian, the harder of the two, and that is without DLSS. You're going to be happy with the performance with there, I think. So, yeah. Alright, I have a lot more to do, so yeah, I'm going to stop now. There's that image. See you next time.